What is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over how I was able to greatly improve as a linear player over about a 72-hour time period. As soon as Fortnite announced that legacy aim assist and settings would be removed from the game, I decided that I was going to switch to either linear or exponential ASAP. And yes, I know before anybody comments it, as of right now, Legacy is still in the game despite the fact that Epic initially said it would be removed on the 13th, but they've also stated multiple times now that it'll 100% be removed in the near future, so I would still strongly recommend switching off of Legacy if you're still using it. So that's what I did, and to say that the transition was rough would be putting it pretty lightly. I started off on Expo because I knew that was a lot more similar to Legacy than Linear was, and even though that was going fairly decently, eventually some of the pro level controller players that I'm friends with convinced me to try out Linear. They basically said, since you're so used to Legacy, it's gonna feel absolutely terrible at first, but if you commit to it for about 3 days, you'll start to get more and more comfortable. So I took their advice, and as of right now, I've been on Linear for about a week. My goal with this video is to tell you guys all the little tips and secrets that I picked up along the way that transformed me from an absolutely terrible Linear player to actually pretty good. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so right off the bat, one of the most important realizations I had that made me so much better with Linear is that a lot of the time, you need to play as if you have no fear. I've always considered myself to be a fairly aggressive player, but the thing about Legacy is you didn't have to play super aggressive to be successful. I know plenty of Legacy players that were totally fine with disengaging from most close range fights and just turning everything into a medium to long range AR battle, because odds are Legacy players would have an advantage in almost all of those fights. However, what I quickly realized about playing on Linear is that to fully utilize the strength of it, you basically want to play like a psychopath in the majority of close range 1v1 engagements. The aim mechanics and aim assist of Linear is by far the most effective when you're basically right in your enemy's face. Even though I knew that before I switched to Linear, it still took me a day or two to really adjust to the type of playstyle that I needed to be successful. One specific example I can give you is in a typical box fighting situation where my opponent is forced to play defensively and I'm on the offensive. Let's just say I hit him for 70 damage with a shotgun, so then he builds a 1x1 and starts turtling with, let's just say, 120 health left. When I played on Legacy, my plan A in this situation would be the same thing pretty much every single time. I'm gonna go up to his wall and keep trying over and over again to break and replace it until I do so successfully. Then I'm either gonna make a simple window/top corner edit and take a shotgun shot, or if I think the player's really good, I'll try something a bit more advanced like a Mongraal Classic or multiple edits and resets in a row. What that would do is keep me at a bit of a safer distance from the enemy, and that was great because point blank range fights were a weakness of Legacy aim assist due to all the aim acceleration. On the flip side, here's how I'd handle that same situation on Linear. I'm still probably at first gonna try once or twice to replace the wall, but if that doesn't work, I'm immediately gonna change my focus to instead trying to phase through the wall and get into the enemy's box. I'm confident on Linear that if I'm able to do that, I'm gonna win that point blank range fight that's gonna occur 9 out of 10 times, especially because it's gonna take the enemy by surprise, giving me even more of an upper hand. I know I've said it plenty of times before, but now that I've experienced it firsthand, I really can't understate how good Linear aim assist is in those point blank range fights. If you're face to face with an enemy and you put your crosshair anywhere on their body, with the tracking assist that the game gives you, it would take a pretty major choke for you to miss enough shots in a row to lose that fight. Now, I don't want to pretend that this no fear aggressive playstyle has no weaknesses, because it certainly does. The biggest one is that since it's so easy to get hit when you just jump into someone's box and 50-50 them, you're probably going to take at least some damage in most of these fights. A lot of the time that won't be a huge deal, since hopefully the enemy or enemies you eliminate will drop you shield or green health to make up for what you lose, but it can definitely be a bit problematic in chaotic fights, especially because you may not even have time to heal before you're fighting the next person. And unfortunately, you'll have maybe 2 to 3 deaths a week where you jump into a guy's box, line up your crosshair, hit all your SMG shots, but right as he's about to die, he pulls off a miracle 150 plus pump shot. It definitely sucks when it happens, but sadly, there's not really much that you can do about it. The next major tip that revolutionized my experience with Linear involves AR fights. Basically, the type of AR that you have should determine whether or not you want to take AR battles. That may sound a tad bit confusing on the surface, so let me explain it a little further. When I played on Legacy, I was so confident in my AR aim that I'd take a medium to long range AR fight against an enemy even if I had a white AR. Yeah, the white AR has a ton of bloom and does pretty underwhelming damage per shot, but with the L2 spamming of Legacy, I felt confident that I could outgun most players even if they had much better weapons. Unfortunately, on Linear, that's no longer the case. Without the lock-on effect of Legacy, L2 spamming is pretty much useless with most ARs on both Linear and Exponential. Therefore, every AR battle comes down to putting your crosshair on the enemy, holding down R2/RT, and praying Fortnite gives you good enough bloom to string together a few hits. So because of this, you basically live and die by bloom with both Linear and Exponential. And this may be obvious for most people, but a lot of players don't know that the lower rarity weapons in Fortnite don't just deal less damage or shoot slower or have slightly longer reload times, they also have more bloom. So if you have a top level AR like a Gold Scar or Purple AUG, you want to be taking AR fights left and right because your bloom is going to be so much better than almost everybody you fight. On the flip side though, if you have one of the weaker ARs in the game, you only want to use that AR to shoot at people who aren't looking at you and therefore won't fire back. Because odds are if you take a bloom battle, it's going to end up not going very well for you. Another important aspect of being successful with Linear that took a lot of adjusting to for me was not ADSing with shotguns and SMGs. And to be honest, I still make that mistake from time to time, even a week later. I'm just so used to L2ing ever so slightly with shotguns especially to get that slight snap-on that Legacy used to give. But with Linear, you almost never want to do that in point-blank range fights because you get even more aim assist if you aren't ADSing compared to if you are. So hopefully, if you've been on Linear since any time near the beginning of its release, that shouldn't be a problem for you. But if you've recently switched from Legacy like I have, just be aware that you might almost subconsciously be making that same mistake. The final thing that I did which really helped my transition from Legacy to Linear was considerably lowering my editing sensitivity off the start. I believe I briefly mentioned this in a previous video, but on Legacy I typically used right around a 2.0, maybe 2.1 editing sensitivity multiplier, and I was really comfortable with that. But man, when I switched to Linear, even though I was using a relatively low aim sensitivity, my editing felt absolutely horrible. And at first I thought, alright, this is gonna be a rough transition for a few games, but I'll get used to it soon enough. As great as that sounded in theory, it didn't really happen even after I'd played for about 4 to 5 hours straight. So that's when I made the much smarter decision to considerably lower my editing sensitivity and then gradually bring it up from there. I started all the way down at 1.5, which is really low, especially for controller on PC, and now about a week later I'm up to 1.7 with the intention of getting to 1.8 or 1.9 in the near future, and then maybe even higher. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. If you're a linear player, let me know whether you've been on linear for a while now, or if you just switched from legacy like I did. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.